just thank you so much for not looking up at me like you did that one time.
Did it make you uncomfortable?
Yeah, it did.
It's like, why is my brother looking at me like this?
Oh my god, is this the Britney Spears jumpsuit all over again? Gay bottoms are like, fuck my pussy, and it's like, it's an asshole. Call it an asshole.
Call an asshole, pussy, a pussy.
Yeah.
Come on, stop it.
Like, fuck my pussy, Dee. Like, where is it?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Typically Divergent
Divergent what?
Podcast.
There you go. My name's Jaron. My pronouns are he, him.
My name is Lars. My pronouns are he, him.
And we're your hosts
Of Typically Divergent Podcast.
Welcome to the show.
I just took us off script. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm really proud of you for taking initiative and like getting it going. I'm like, yeah, that's... Yeah.
I thought it would be a little funny intro after we just said pissing in somebody's asshole.
Not even a minute into it. Hey, everybody. You ever get your asshole pissed inside? Do you have a man that calls his butthole a pussy? Then
If you do,
write it into us. We want to hear about
curb.
it. I'm not going to say kick him to the curb. Just, like we were mentioning, the gay people, some people do that. And like, if that's your thing, that's your thing. That is not my thing.
But your butthole isn't your pussy.
No, it's a
butthole.
Stop doing the bussy. Bussy. Oh my God. Okay. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm so excited that today is today because I've been wanting to tell you this.
All right, let's go.
All right. So we have, I don't know why I always have to explain this, but in case anybody is new, Nicholas has 2 cats. I have a dog. There are outside cats, the community cats that we love and take care of, not take care of in the sense of like medical, but like we feed them. First, there was Cranky, a big red cat, and then Spooky, mainly white with black spots cat, and her whole nose was black, so she looked like a skull. She came around Halloween time last year.
Cool.
She was cool. Spooky was annoying because she would always hang around the porch for too long when I need to take Dozer outside, and like she would like try to fight Dozer, and I'm like, bro, like get the fuck off my porch. I gotta let this dog out. It's not fair to him. Like, so right. Whatever. There are a couple other cats that don't have names. Recently, we have had a new friend who we've named Gideon come around, and Lars has met Gideon. He is an all gray tiger striped cat. And
He's got a round face.
Oh my God, round face, green eyes. And I named him Gideon because of Gideon Cross. If anybody knows of any of those like knockoff versions of 50 Shades, there is somebody out there in a different franchise of those smutty books from like 10 plus years ago, where the man was named Gideon Cross, and one of his eyes was like slightly crossed, and so I was like, oh, Gideon Cross, because whatever, cute. It's cute. And the Gideon Cross is a knockoff of Christian Grey, and he's a gray cat. Okay, so like
there we go.
It's all just circling
there
around.
You go. Yep.
Well, this cat has imprinted himself on me, and he recently has allowed us to pet him. And so now this cat is acting like a dog. He's in my lap. He's making biscuits.
Love that.
He lets me pick him up, flip him around, put him on his back so that his belly is up to the air, and he lets me pet him under his neck and his belly. Like, cats don't do that, He is a maturing cat. He's leaving his kitten stage, going to his adult stage because his whiskers are turning black, and that happens when kittens turn into adults. Recently, Nicholas and I have joked that this cat, because like most anybody that fends for themselves in groups and gangs on the streets, they use younger ones as like bait or a distraction because everyone thinks that young kids, dogs, animals, whatever, that they're cuter. And so I thought, what if this cat, I'm suspicious of his likeness for us. Maybe it's because he is like, I'm young, I can get what I want as long I'm only young now, so I better get what I want soon. Nicholas made a joke and said, yeah, he's trying to lock in his retirement because I have mentioned bringing him inside.
Yes.
And him being a part of our family. And me having my own cat, which is not something that I ever thought I would ever be saying.
Right.
The other night, Nicholas and I are sitting on the porch and he is making biscuits in my lap, and you can see his paws like Dozer. You
Aw.
can see his paws spread out and
Mhm.
then like squeeze. And as long as you have some sort of material between your leg and the cat, he's not going to claw into your legs. But last week he clawed into my legs really bad. I showed Lars,
Mhm.
and so we're on the
Making those
porch
biscuits.
making biscuits.
Making those biscuits.
Making biscuits. And Nicholas is going, oh my God, like, Gideon, destroyer of laps, shows me his legs and goes, look, he scratched me up. And I was like, the same, look at my legs.
Mhm.
So yesterday, I go outside and Gideon's on the front porch, as always,
Mhm.
sitting in the front of the door. He's ready for me. He's ready to be fed and he's ready for his attention. He brought us a bird. Cats will kill things
Yeah.
and bring them to you as a
An offering.
like
Yeah.
like hey, I like you, here's a present.
Aw.
The bird's head was decapitated from its body. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Trigger warning for like blood. Skip a minute. I tell Nicholas and he goes, that cat's not coming inside this house. That cat is a killer and he will kill us. Oh, that's right, I forgot, there's a joke. We've made a joke and said that because I'm suspicious of his likeness for us. Are you swiping around too far?
I wanted to just look at me.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
I wanted to see the picture of me.
Oh,
Or the
okay.
video of me.
I was like, so I see your phone. I see your thumb moving back and forth.
I want to see.
I'm watching it 20 times. So Nicholas had made this joke that like this cat wants to get inside of our house because he's going to kill us, but Spooky hasn't been around in a while. But we've seen her underneath like our neighbor's car, and Nicholas was like, "What if there's like a horror story moment where like we let this cat inside, and he's like killing us, and in the middle of like trying to kill us, Spooky walks in, and she's like, "I'm here to save you," and she takes care of the cat. She's like, "I told you he's a killer." Well, he fucking killed a bird, manslaughtered
Yeah.
a bird. Let us know. What do you think? Do we should take a poll? Do I let the cat inside?
So I talked to Jenny about this because I mentioned it to her. I was like, there's this cat named Gideon who's just like really attached to Jaron.
Uh-huh.
He's imprinted on him. And Jenny goes, well, besides like taking them to the vet and getting them checked out,
Right.
you have to quarantine your cats from him because he has to get acclimated and he might have something. So the vets they will suggest that you quarantine him.
Okay.
But I'm not a vet. Jenny isn't a vet.
I've
but
never been in. I've just nobody's ever told me that before. So
I think Emily has actually mentioned that too because Emily has like 16,000 cats.
hey, Emily, miss you, girl.
And she has mentioned like a slight like quarantine period, but that would be a question for the vet.
Okay.
But why do you want to bring him in the house?
I'm worried about the winter coming up,
Okay.
and he is very obvious that he wants to come inside.
Okay.
Like if I open the door, he'll step inside if I don't shoo him away with my foot.
Okay. Because on the one hand, he could just be a cat that is like your buddy who just comes into the house around the house.
Right.
But the question is, if you want to like take complete ownership of him, he has to come in.
Well, and I told Nicholas, I said, I may have just gotten really excited because a new shiny thing showed me affection. And I think that maybe I just wanted him to come inside and be a part of the family because that's just something that I do. But like realistically, I don't want another litter box to clean up. I don't want another mouth to feed. I don't want another vet bill.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And I said, maybe like next year or at another point, but like with Dozer's medications and all of his vet bills, I don't need to be taking care of another animal.
Does he come around all the time?
He doesn't leave.
Oh, he doesn't leave.
He doesn't leave.
So he doesn't go to house.
No. He is
I think
on
that
the
there's
porch,
something to that.
right? Like
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, that cat is on the deck ready for me. I leave, he's right there. I come home, he's there. I go to bed, he's there.
Do you have any past person in your life who you really cared about who has passed?
Sure.
Is there any type of like reference to a cat that comes across your mind?
No.
Because I have my really good friend Julie. Her cat that she currently has named Simba.
Mhm.
He came to her house on the anniversary of her dad's death. Just dropped himself right on her front porch.
Wow.
So this is reminding me
Yeah.
of what Julie experienced. And what we're going to be talking about
Is very similar
is very
to
similar
animals.
to this conversation because cats, dogs, whatever type of pet or anything that any animal
that we've domesticated.
I mean, there is some sort of like pull
Yeah.
to them. And I think that not everything happens for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that with it being an animal
Mm-hmm.
imprinting itself on you,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is telling because they
Yeah.
are connected to us spiritually and mentally.
Right.
So if you were to
look
ask,
at this one.
yeah, dogs. And with Dozer getting older, I am a very like spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
I take this as a sign of passing the torch.
I said that to Nicholas the other night,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Don't have thoughts like that," because he knows that thinking about Dozer's passing is like on my mind all the time.
Well, it
I
should
could-
be because it's inevitable.
I know, but Erica and I have talked about it, and she told me to stop thinking about it because all I'm doing is stressing myself out about something that hasn't even come here yet.
Well,
and
I mean, like,
and I'm too busy worried about the future and not enjoying the time I'm having with him right now.
I apologize. I mean, it should be something in your mind,
Yes.
not all the time.
Okay.
I mean, as in, like, you should be preparing yourself. Like,
Right.
it's
I'm
a
not-
natural thing that's going to happen.
I'm not going to be ignorant to the fact that it's going to happen.
Right. That's what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok of this girl was like, don't mind me just having my bi-weekly cry about the future passing of my pet who clearly is going to be fine for several more years. But does anybody else ever just do that? And I was like, oh, yes, all the time.
Especially if you've been through it before.
Mm-hmm.
You never forget that feeling
Yeah.
and that grief, because that grief, you are losing a soul in your life. It's not just a dog or a cat or a hamster. I don't care what kind of animal it is.
I want to bring that fucking cat inside this house. Leave it to me to like just let a cat walk inside the house and say, well, we took him to the vet and he's up to date on his shots, but then like something happens to like Nicholas's senior citizen cats. God, then he everybody passes the torch to him.
Yeah. You obviously have a vet that you trust.
Yes.
And that you can call them and ask them more questions. Be like, hey, like, there's this cat.
I know.
I want to take them in. What's the process for that?
But yeah, okay. So you now know about the dead bird. Welcome, welcome to the present portion of my life.
And that in itself is the cat trying to communicate with you, which is what we're talking about today.
And I think that's what is happening too.
Yeah. The boys brought a dead rat to us. And I'm just like, you've already lived here.
Right.
This is already your house. Like, what are you doing? But that's
Nothing.
more of like, look at what I did, mom and dad.
Yeah.
Be proud of me.
Dozer is. Hey, guess what?
I didn't shit myself today.
I don't do what you do. No, I shit myself. You just eat shit. And that's our new normal.
Unfortunately, it is normal for
Animals to do that.
animals to eat shit.
I know.
I flipped when I first saw Kron do that. Do you remember Kron?
Mhm.
Poor dog. Yeah, I flipped because I've never seen a dog do that before. And Jenny was just like,
This is
it
things
just
that
happens.
they do. Yeah.
I was
We've had pugs that ate their own shit. So that's really all I wanted to talk about for like my weekly update. I didn't
Okay.
have anything else exciting.
I don't either.
So no.
No,
Okay. How's your noggin?
good.
That's great.
Yeah, on a
Same.
scale of 1 to 10, we don't really do the number anymore, but
Well, you can if you want. I don't
give
like
an 8.
I don't like giving something a gauge because I feel like I always hover around the same numbers. But that's good.
An 8.
I like an 8.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like a 9.
You feeling like a 9?
Oh,
fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. You look.
Fuck yeah. Gotta do the lip.
Anyway, we went on a complete off the record
180.
rabbit. Yeah.
360, whatever.
No, 360 and me, we were right back.
No,
where
we're at a 180.
We did a 180. Now
Yeah.
we're doing the other 180. They're drugs, Mom. We're doing drugs.
Mom, the meatloaf.
What are you doing? Half pipes in the backyard? Yeah, so you're at like an 8.
You're at a 9?
I'm at a 9. I feel fucking great.
Me too.
Hey, do you guys remember when we talked about the space stuff? I'm still blown away by that.
Oh, yeah. I actually had somebody reach out to me who listened to the episode. And they said that they were dying laughing.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, hey, I learned that what's the biggest planet? Not Venus. Jupiter?
I think it's Mercury.
Oh, I thought Jupiter's the one that has all of
The storm.
the big red storm.
Let me Google
There's
it.
actually another storm going on Jupiter, and they call it the Big Blue Storm.
My big boo ball.
Also, Jupiter has eaten other planets. Jupiter is actually not like a solid ground planet because it's all made of gas. You could fly through the planet of Jupiter. It's just gas and particles that have been condensed into an area because of the gravity and I'm going to use a fancy word that I'm sure is not even the right one, centripetal force, because I feel like that should just fit right in that sentence. It has actually they called it I don't know if it was necessarily a cannibal, but like a planetary, I don't fucking know. But yeah, Earth could just slide right through it. I mean, it would take us a while, but
It says that it's more than twice as massive as all the other planets combined.
yeah,
It's next to the sun in size.
because it just keeps soaking up planets. Hey, can you do me a solid?
Yeah.
Can you gently close that window? I said gently, not
It was getting stuck.
don't go so damn slow. Like, okay, Mitch McConnell.
He's buffered again.
I know, glitching.
Like, actually had two people come in and have to be like,
Sorry,
hello?
Grandpa just needs to take a moment.
He's rebooting.
So I don't like to follow Fox News, but Fox News is what plays at my gym in front of the bicycle that I
Ew.
ride. Because it's my bicycle. Anybody that goes to a gym, you know how it is. If you do cardio, you have like your machine. Anyway, Fox News was playing on the TV in front of my bike.
Yeah.
And it said, growing concerns in America, term limits for senators.
So
and people
we're
in
just now
Congress. Right. Growing concern. It has been a concern for a while.
Yeah.
It didn't take Mitch
Show me your
McConnell-
privilege without showing me your privilege. I am going to go out on a limb and be like, in the next couple weeks, they're probably going to talk about him stepping down or just leaving or euthanized. I mean, whatever you want to do.
It is the day that this. Oh, hey, happy Labor Day, everybody!
Is it Labor Day? I thought Oh, happy Monday. Just kidding, because
So-
we're not recording this.
On Monday.
No,
It's
I'm
on
sorry.
Thursday.
Happy fucking Labor Day.
It's okay. But yeah, happy Labor Day to all the people that are probably listening, because there's a pretty good chance that you are a working class American or anybody who lives in Northern America, or you're a working class person in the entire world. And I don't know if you celebrate it in your country, but here in America, we have a calendar day. We have a calendar holiday here in America for Labor Day, which is basically for the labor people and the unions. So if you work for a corporate retail company and or you own a small business, chances are you don't get to celebrate Labor Day because you have to be working.
Right. And
But-
that's the tea.
And that's the T on American health health system. Sorry, the sneezing and my sinuses just got clogged. I was like, that's the T on the American health system.
I love a good sneeze, though.
All right. We're 30 minutes into this episode. What are we talking about, Lars?
Well, we're talking about animal communication
Ah.
and how we as humans communicate with animals and how they communicate with us.
But we are not pet psychics, and we're not here to say that
No.
if your animal acts a certain way, that means a certain thing.
Yeah. I am only here to talk about what it means, what it looks like, the process, some facts about kind of like what as us as a society as a whole kind of believes
I love
or what
being
it
a
doesn't
whole.
believe. Because if you're not familiar with animals, let me go back a little bit. If you don't have like a pet,
Okay.
I think this subject would be a little bit hard
Okay.
to understand or
Yeah.
like maybe just empathize with, because I know that as an animal lover myself, I can't imagine not having a pet.
Yeah.
I can't imagine not being fascinated by animals. Like, I just love animals. I love all of them.
I've never been without a pet. If I was, it was for a very short amount of time.
Right.
And the people that like have no interest in ever having a pet, I'm like, you're the person I'm staying away from.
Yeah. So animal communicators are known to be pet psychics.
Okay.
It's also can be called animal telepathy or species communication.
Species communication?
Mhm.
Okay.
So, because it's not just strictly domesticated animals.
You're right. It's not always just a cat and a dog.
Yeah.
It could
So,
be
It can be a tiger, a lion, a bear.
I almost said those three in that exact order. Sorry.
This is a practice that uses a meditative approach.
Okay.
So it's to open the mind and that achieve communication through emotions, body language, energy, etc. with animals.
Mm-hmm.
The process is where because I watched a documentary on this and it was actually on YouTube and it was really fascinating. I can add that into the notes so we can put it into the episode description. But it's really, again, a meditative state that the person puts themselves into.
Okay.
And some people have like a ritual that they do. So like praying, meditating, clearing your mind, and you really have to practice it because it's a skill. Mm-hmm. It is believed that everybody can do it. Like every human is able to do it. Okay. It just takes practice, again, like to be a skill.
Yeah. And even if like you have a pet at home, you're constantly practicing that by always like being around them. You are unintentionally communicating with them. They're communicating with you, and you just learn like their body language and the things that they do. And you know, like I can tell when Dozer has a whine that means I have to go outside versus there's somebody outside.
Right. And that's exactly the same with me with Cabbage and Toad. Like for instance, when we had that possum outside and it got under the deck. There's always outside. A possum, but the possum got under the deck and I knew immediately that there was another type of animal in the yard by the bark and the growl. You can always tell.
Oh yeah.
So at a surface level, or if you have a pet, there is always some sort of form of communication happening. Mm-hmm. This is more about understanding how to telepathy, how to dive into more of the deeper emotions. Okay. So this is more like, what am I thinking? How am I feeling? What do I want from you? What do I feel like you need? It can get a little heavy because sometimes these communicators are brought into a situation where animals are from abused homes in captivity. Okay. Maybe battling some sort of health issue that we don't know, that we can't see. Yeah. The work that the person in the documentary that I was watching, her name is Anna Breitenbach, and she has gone to multiple different types of sanctuaries and has talked to lions, leopards, elephants, you name it. Mm-hmm. And they reach out to these people to understand more about like culture, to understand what their needs are if they're not being met, what they can do better in their facility. Like for example, a zoo. She went to a zoo and she talked to some capuchin monkeys. Mm-hmm. And
what a name to give
a capuchin. Yeah, capuchin monkey. Okay. Those are the monkeys that you usually will see like in a Disney movie. Okay. So like they've got the gray bodies and like the butt, like the white butt.
Oh, the white butt, not the big red.
Or not the big red butt. The white butt.
I'm gonna look this up.
You should look this up. Yes. There are many individuals who have this capability that teach others, as it is believed that, like I said, all people can achieve this. It's a skill that must be practiced consistency. A sentence so the process of how this is done that was explained in the documentary is a sentence is formed or a question is asked by the human without verbalizing it, and then is subconsciously sent into the animal's space. Okay. The response from the animal can be made from images received by the human or telepathic responses without the animal making a sound. So,
okay,
it sounds a little crazy.
Well, I'm not chuckling because I think it sounds crazy. I'm chuckling because I'm like the amount of times that I've like tried to telepathically communicate with Dozer, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, did you really just say that to me, or is it just like me filling in the blank for you because maybe that's what I need to hear, or that's what I should be hearing.
There you go. How many times have you, as a child, have been told that you have seen something, said something, or your imagination when you played like make-believe? Like how many times as an adult told you like, oh, you're going to grow out of that, or you don't really think that, like gaslighting you?
I don't know.
Because one thing that they talked about in the documentary and some of the research that I was doing is that children have this gift immediately.
Oh yeah. They haven't, their light and their mind hasn't been shaped into like two-dimensional thinking in a 3D world.
societal norms.
Right.
So, for instance, I know that somebody who in my life, who I won't name because they asked me not to, but there's a person in my life who I'm very close to and love very much, who believes that they can talk to animals.
Okay.
And there was a moment in time where their parents were like, "You're just goofing off. Like, you can't really do that." So like they're getting squashed. Like these abilities are being squashed
Okay.
right in front of their face.
I know what this is.
Yeah. I think that is telling because we're so connected to animals.
Yeah.
I believe that we are their caretakers, and with technology being replaced in our life has replaced so many things that we have lost touch with them. We have really been stripped away from them.
Yeah. I know that like dogs paw, like your dogs paw you and Dozer paws me, but the amount of times that he does it because my phone is in my hand
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, are you doing this because I'm just within reach, or is it because you want me to put this phone down?
Yeah. They're very much in tune with their surroundings and our behavior and our rituals.
Oh, yeah.
More than what we think they are.
Oh, yeah.
I was listening to a podcast called Almost 30, and it's a podcast by Krista Williams and Lindsay Simkick. They had a lady named Miranda Alcott on their show, and she's an animal and a human communicator who's worked with numerous animals. And she said that our dogs and our cats specifically pick up on our behaviors, and they become an extension of us.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very telling.
It is very true.
Yeah.
Because
it's very true.
When people in the past, exes or like roommates, get mad at Dozer, or if I'm like, hey, when you get home, can you let him out? Like, he's not my responsibility. And it's like, I understand that, but like, it's not fair to him that he has to stay in his cage while he has to go to the bathroom and you're like walking around in front of him. Like, that's unfair. And then you treating him like that makes me feel like you're treating me like that because that's my dog.
Yeah. I see that behavior. I can see certain things in Cabbage and Toad, especially with Cabbage, because in our house, there's definitely a difference in which dog attracts to Jenny or to me.
Like who's who?
Yeah. So Toad is like my shadow.
Yeah.
He's always with me. He's always laying on top of me.
Uh-huh.
He's always sleeping by me.
Mm-hmm.
Cabbage is with Jenny, more like, which is weird because their attitudes and like their personalities are switched. Because like I'm more like loud and like outgoing and energetic.
And
Toad
Cabbage is calm.
And Toad is calm. So it's really interesting how they like almost divide and conquer.
That is really interesting.
You know,
yeah.
Like, okay, so we're going to balance them out a little bit.
Yeah.
And you can see it happening like in front of you. Like when I'm upset, Toad's like right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be laying together and something will happen. Like there's either like an argument or a disagreement, or somebody got some really bad news, and then there's emotions that are like, there's like crying, or you can tell that there is something in the air that they can just like latch onto immediately. And depending on who feels like needs, like what needs to be done or who needs to be comforted, you can always depend on either Cabbage or Toad coming to you. So
whenever I get upset, Dozer can tell. He can, you know how they say like your dog like becomes you. So like all of my anxiety and issues, like Dozer had those before I got him, but then they just got blown out of the water when I got him, because then like he took on all of mine. But when I have a cry that like I can feel it actually like releasing something out of me, then Dozer immediately is right there and he's like licking my face, and it's so cute because it's like, wow, you're taking care of me as if like you're my mom. Yeah. And I'm your puppy, you know? Yeah. And I that's why I like to get stoned and cry with my dog, because he takes care of me when I need to.
The goal of animal communication is simple: to create a dialogue between the communicator and the animal. Animal communicators listen to what the animal has to say, then pass the information on to the animal's human companion or the caretaker or whatever, what have you.
Okay.
Thereby clarifying behaviors that may be confusing or unknown.
Okay.
So they're almost like a therapist. Many animal communicators also specialize in energy healing techniques, such as animal Reiki. Animal
that's
Reiki.
Right. And that's dealing with your chakras.
Yes.
Because even animals have chakras as well.
And shamanic healing.
Shamanic.
Shamanic healing.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast that I was listening to with the Miranda Alcott,
Uh-huh.
she does some Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
Cats, I guess, are very in tune with Reiki,
Okay.
which is interesting to think about. I don't think that cats are of this world. I think that they're not. I think that they were created somewhere else.
Listen.
I literally don't think that they were made in on Earth.
Listen, felines are the only species that we can date back so far where like we were taking care of them and they were domesticated enough that we took care of them and we still today are taking care of them.
The
And
Egyptians.
yes.
Yeah.
And cats don't meow with each other. They'll communicate, but they don't meow with each other. They meow to humans because they know that that's their way of communicating with us. And the reason why they meow is because they learned that if they meowed, it sounded like a baby cooing, and that pulled at our paternal and maternal instincts to take care of them. So they just have us fucking taking care of them. And that's how I feel about this cat downstairs. 'Cause I'm like, are you meowing at me because you just want me to take care of you, or do you really like me? Because I'm really fucking confused right now.
Well, I learned also from this podcast that cats are the only animal that can mimic human like internal humming of the body.
Because of the
They can adjust their purring. To follow your inner like body, like your heartbeat and everything. They're the only animal that can do that. Isn't that wild?
That is so fucking
disturbing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I am less afraid of cats.
Same.
I mean, it's still fucking scary. Like, how do you do that? Why do you do that? How do you know to do that? Why do you know to do that?
I don't know, man.
Why do you do it? What's the purpose? Hi, I'm traumatized. I am.
I'm typically traumatized.
This is typical trauma. I am suspicious of anybody and anything that shows me love and affection for more than 5 seconds. Once the chase is over, why are you still giving me this affection?
Animal tracking is considered the origin of communication with animals.
Okay.
So Native Americans and indigenous tribes around the world have practiced this since the conception. So like Homo erectus, the first people that were upright, who were hunter and gatherers. Mm-hmm. It is so like basically just tracking. We do that today as hunters, like people who hunt. The ability to gather evidence of local wildlife like tracks, scat, and other signs, used to interpret animal behavior. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even think about that when I was reading this research. I was just like, oh, it's this. I didn't think that an imprint in the sand or like in the dirt would even like be considered a communication. But I guess it is because you can kind of see like where they're going, what kind of environment they live in.
Yeah, you're right. It's like it's probably how we learned about like turtles that lay their eggs in the sand, and then when the babies hatch, then they come out of the ground and go to the water. Yeah. Like, wow, turtles, they're always going into the water. I wonder why. Because
animals,
it's a turtle.
Because it's a fucking turtle.
Because it's a turtle.
It's Mitch McConnell.
No, he's the pale man from the labyrinth.
Yes, he does look weirdly similar to that, which it makes me uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
Mitch McConnell, what do you think about the sky being blue? Grandpa needs to take a nap now.
There was a meme of somebody made a meme that says "me in line late to work," and then it had a picture of Mitch McConnell with the lottery tickets.
The man in front of me getting the lottery tickets.
Animals communicate in 4 ways.
Okay.
Auditory communication involving sound, visual involving gesture, posture, tactile communication involving touch, chemical communication involving pheromone. So right off the bat, we know like auditory is just barking, whining, purring, meowing, hissing. Visual, gesture, posture. So when 2 dogs meet, apparently the way that they communicate their culture, which is very interesting, animal culture, they
got more culture than white people.
No kidding. Dogs should not meet head on.
Okay.
Because that means I'm going to come at you and fight you.
Okay.
So that's why like sometimes we'll see when dogs, they sniff each other's butts, or they'll kind of circle around each other.
Yeah.
I never thought of it this way, but that is part of their culture. Like they literally have a culture. Like there's a way to behave. There's a way to like to bark. There's
Their own etiquette.
Yeah, they have an etiquette. Have you ever thought about it that way?
No, because I look at house pets as like you were born, and then the purpose of your existence was to be removed from your mother at a early age, at the earliest age possible. So like, how much are you learning at however many weeks?
That is so interesting that you brought that up, because on the podcast with Miss Alcott, she talks about how we should not be taking our puppies away at 6 weeks. It was like a 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That we should be waiting at least 12 weeks.
And see, why not? Why?
Because like we can't wait. We're being selfish.
We gotta make our money. Oh, you're thinking of the buyer.
The buyer is being selfish. I mean, I feel, but also I think that also the breeder could be, because they're just like, we want to get them out. We want to make that money.
The bitch needs to get bred again.
Yeah, which is, girl, that's so uncomfortable thinking about that.
I know.
But
hey, adopt, don't shop, guys. Folks, gays, gals, girls, theys, thems, all of y'all.
Unless it's a service animal.
Right.
Because service animals sometimes are actually bred to be more docile. All dogs can be a service animal, but there are certain breeds that do better than others.
Yeah. Yeah, just like
anything else.
Just like a German Shepherd dog learns best if you speak to it in German. Don't know why.
Frickin' Nazi.
Just our neighbor has his dog's name is Hans, and he's a German Shepherd. And Lars was like, that dog's name is Hans. I was like, yeah, I know that. That's German. I know, he's a German Shepherd. Nazis. I was like, oh my fucking God.
I understand the difference. I understand the difference. Okay.
He has American pension.
So we went through visual. Tactile is, like involving touch. So that's more of like, when I think about monkeys.
Oh, okay. You're right.
But yeah, like paws, like your dog's pawing at you.
Mm-hmm.
Cats, making biscuits. That's a communication.
Horses flipping their tails.
Yeah. And then chemical involving pheromones. So that's like a skunk. I think of a skunk.
Okay. I was thinking when Dozer was younger, if I left him in the vehicle to run inside a store in a responsible, respectable way, because I'm not going to leave him in a hot car, if he would get to a certain, I could always tell if I was inside for too long, because the car would smell of his anxiousness.
Oh, yeah.
And I had an ex that was like, those are your pheromones. They stink. And I was like, yeah. So like if it's a quick trip, not a big deal. If I'm in there 5 minutes too long, it smells a certain way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's your anxiety. I am so sorry that you exhumed that into my vehicle, and now my car stinks.
Because you stink, Dozer. You stink.
And I love the way that I gotta say this, and I was gonna go to the grave without saying this to anybody, but I love the way that his chest smells.
Dozer?
Yeah.
I love the way that cabbage and toad stink. I always say, you stink good.
They do stink good, but I mean, specifically a certain spot on his body. Yeah. Anything else, it smells like Dozer, but it right there on his bib, like, that's my dog.
I do that to cabbage when I pick him up. I'll smell their chesty.
Yeah.
Or toads, I'll smell his at the side of his neck.
Oh yeah.
It's their that's not us communicating with them, but I mean it's just a comforting thing. But yeah, their feet smell like corn chips.
Yes, because of the bacteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More on their culture. Some things there's an example of that research that's backed up by different animals with different cultures. So there was a study done in the University of St. Andrews in the UK. They led a group of, which was led by Andrew Whitten of St. Andrews. He tried to induce conformity in 4 groups of wild monkeys. 109 animals in total, living in a private game reserve in South Africa called the KwaZulu-Natal province.
Okay.
The team gave each group 2 plastic trays with corn. The corn was dried blue in one tray and pink in the other. It says these colors were chosen because they were prominent in the genitals of male verets, and so were likely to draw the monkey's attention. One set of corn was soaked in bitter aloe leaves and made distasteful to the monkeys. In 2 groups, the blue corn was made bitter, while the other 2 groups got bitter pink corn. Over a period of 3 months, the monkeys easily learned to entirely avoid the bitter-tasting food. 4 months later, after 27 baby monkeys had been born,
baby monkeys
and were old enough to eat solid food, the monkeys were again offered pink and blue corn, although this time neither of them had a bitter taste. During the next 2 months, both adults and infant monkeys strongly preferred the same color as before.
So that's not only like an example of animal culture, but that's also an example of generational trauma.
Yeah. 26 of the 27 infants ate only the corn preferred by their mothers, ignoring the other tray.
Wow.
Moreover, during the period of experiments, 10 male monkeys migrated from a group that had preferred one color of corn to a group that preferred the opposite color. 7 of the 10 immediately took up the color choice of their new adopted group, suggesting that they were influenced by norms of that cohort. So they were just like us as a human race. Like, we're very, very much swayed by society.
Yeah.
So.
I love science.
I do too.
Science is so fucking cool.
While animal communication and energy healing continue to grow in popularity, not everyone believes it works, but most animal communicators don't claim to be psychics. Instead, they consider themselves intuitive empaths, highly observant and able to interpret changes in behavior. Those seeking the help of an animal communicator should be on the lookout for cold readers, practitioners who encourage the person receiving the reading to provide all the details. So just like a psychic. Mm-hmm. A cold reader might use vague language, ask lots of questions, or make statements that are obviously true. If you decide to reach out to anybody in the area or are curious about having somebody come and help you communicate with your animal, those are some things to look out for. The one thing that comes to my mind is how disconnected we are with our animals and how we can reconnect with them. And if we did, how much of this global warming could we stop? Like, how much of this?
Right, because it's really it's affecting them more than it is us.
Mm-hmm. So if we're looking more towards the more wild, exotic animals, a lot of the stories that I was hearing from the podcast and the documentary, a lot of it was they spoke to whales and dolphins, and some lady said that she even spoke with a shark, and it's just to me, it's to me that's wild, but if we can really harvest that energy and listen to them. Think about the work that we would be doing that we naturally should be doing as a human race.
Right.
And
we would be, I think that we would be less afraid of, the whole reason why NASA exists is because we started looking into the waters and then all of a sudden they saw something that scared them. So they started going out of the planet. So I think if we were able to communicate with specifically those wild species, that we would be able to understand more about their world, and we would be doing less destruction, because as humans do, we go searching for answers, and then when we find an answer we don't like, we destroy whatever that is. And this is not just pieces of paper that we're ripping apart because we wrote a poem that we didn't like very much. We're destroying the homes of animals that, whether people believe it or not, it's not a person, so it can't speak, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a soul. And just because it has a soul that's in an animal and not in a human, that doesn't make its life any less important. This is what me being a plant, when I was plant-based for a year, because I was it's not fair for me to eat a dead animal. We don't eat each other. Why are, they can eat each other, but I don't think that we're designed to do that. Right. But I'm not a vegan anymore, but we can, as humans, we can adjust and make accommodations for the destructions that we have caused on this planet, but the animals cannot, because they don't have free will. And that's what separates us from an animal, is because we can make decisions for ourselves and they do them by instinct.
Yeah. We need to be giving them a voice to the voiceless.
Yeah.
Almost. And
but the second somebody was hey, I can talk to these animals, people are gonna be oh, they're gonna completely discredit them. Right. And then they'll be well, what's gonna be next? You're gonna want to marry a dog. They said that when gay people were getting married. I have yet to hear about any person marrying a dog.
Right.
So,
and no matter what type of religion that you follow, animals are forever present, and we have a responsibility to them.
Yeah.
From a higher power.
Because they came here first.
Yeah. They came here first. And I think about what we could achieve if we were to reconnect with them again.
Yeah. For a motherfucking fact that the second that we can communicate with animals and make change in this world, somebody's going to make money off of that. Americans don't want to work anymore, so we reintroduce new old child labor laws. Oh, the children don't want to work? Well, guess what? We're going to make the fucking dolphins do it. And we're going to call it SeaWorld. When people go on vacation, and I mean, Nicholas and I did it, and I'm thinking about it because I'm looking at that picture right there. But when Nicholas and I went on that vacation and we took the excursion to go swim with the dolphins, I said, look, I'll do this because it's on your bucket list, but we're doing it once and we're never doing this again. Because I don't think it's understandably fair that humans found nature and what nature has to offer, animals, and said, we're going to capture these and then we're going to charge people X amount of dollars per person to take photos with us. And then we're going to manipulate this animal into doing tricks and stuff by feeding it food that probably is not its greatest quality. And then we're going to contain it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And where was I going with this? We're already doing it.
Yeah.
You know, oh, we can get dolphins to do a flip and charge people out the ass to have pictures taken with them.
Right. But overall, this subject I found just to be really fascinating. I definitely probably could have done a lot more. We could probably have a longer episode about this because between the podcast and the documentary that I was watching, there was just so much experience and stories that were just so fascinating by the people that these communicators that were bringing to the table. And I don't know if I would ever personally use one. I think that it would be cool to dive in a little bit more about like what that process looks like for me to learn it. That would be really interesting. I do believe in it. Do I believe that every person on the internet that has a service of reach, like a communication, is legit? Probably not. But I really value the idea of being able to communicate with animals, being such an animal lover, especially with my dogs. Like, those are my children.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. They're still a soul. And I think about a lot about Lucy and how that experience, and that experience really shook me to my core. And I think that was the moment that I knew there's something more to this life and to this soul than
just something
I know.
That,
yeah.
Because the people don't know, Lucy was Lars's dog that passed away
almost 3 years ago now. Isn't that crazy? 3 years now?
Yeah. I thought it was 2.
I think it's almost 3.
I mean,
this year, I think it'll be 3.
It has to be because you got Cabbage.
No, right before. Because we got Cabbage shortly after Cron passed away, who was Lucy's buddy.
Yeah.
And she had such a maternal spirit that we knew that she needed someone to take care of who was of her species.
Yeah.
That death took blow to my mental health, and I actually relapsed into a depression and anxiety like spiral, and I had to get my meds adjusted again. It was not good. Would I do it again? Yeah.
Yeah. I know that Dozer is my soul dog. I don't know if I've talked about wanting to get another dog at some point, but because I've always had a dog, I don't know what it's like to be without one, so that like I can take a vacation or like be away from the house for very long periods of time. Him being in my life has been a blessing because he came into my life through a really bad relationship and through like my biggest parts of growth since I was 20. And he was the reason why I wasn't like staying over at people's house doing drugs. I was always having a reason to come back home. I mean, I've driven home intoxicated before on alcohol, but like I was never like blackout drunk. Not that drinking while you're driving is good, but you know, it was always like, all right, at some point I got to get home. I want to be home with him. And I had someone tell me like, I think that was a really good thing that he came into your life because things could have gotten a lot worse for you and you had somebody else to take care of. Yeah. And I think that he is meant to stick around until I get things with my head in a position where it's like, okay, like daddy doesn't need me anymore. And I've had conversations with myself where I'm like, let's put those things on hold because I want to keep him around. And then I think I'm doing like wishful thinking where it's like, he's in my life because of this reason. And like, once I progress to a certain point, then like he'll be gone. And so if I stay in a bad place, then he'll be around for a lot longer, which is just being like not fair to him. But then I'm like, I'm putting too many connections with stuff. But when that cat downstairs and you said, you know, that may be like a pass of the torching situation. And I feel like that is what's happening. I just don't know if like, I thought I had another year minimum, you know? So I'm like,
you could.
I could. And if that cat's coming around, then that means that like, That hourglass is almost empty.
It could be just another pet to come into your life to help foster, like
to buffer that pain.
yeah, being like talking about animal communication.
Oh yeah.
You have to be open minded. It's not for everybody, but and it's definitely something more that is experience based. You know, there's not like research, but we know that like dogs can take commands.
Yeah.
We know that monkeys are just like us. Apes, gorillas, like they're just like us.
Monkeys are literally the only animal that has sex doggy style and face-to-face style. And humans are the only other species besides monkeys that do that.
Yeah. So I mean, like our lives are intertwined like scientifically.
Yeah.
Like we can prove those things. But like when it comes to like talking to a dog that can't talk, talking to a monkey that can't, like, does talking really negate communication?
Right.
That is what it comes down to, and I don't believe so.
No. Ariana Grande once said that she talks to her dog all the time, and that she talks to him about just anything. Just she talks to him like he's a human being, and that's the reason why he's so intuitive to the things that she says, and why she has such a great connection with him. And so,
and you know what?
It's Labor Day. Have you talked to your pet today?
Right. And just another couple quick thoughts, like service dogs. Like, it is incredible what service dogs can do.
Oh, I know.
They go through 2-year training, 5 days a week. They're
like a job.
It's a job. They're licensed, real service dogs, because there is
a difference.
There is a difference.
Yes. Dozer is a licensed fake service dog because I was skimming the apartment complex bullshit stuff.
Of course. I mean, like, I understand that people do it, but that just makes it harder for actual real service dogs to work.
Yes.
And like they're humans to be taken care of.
Yes. I know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong.
Yeah.
How young do they start them at? Probably like what? 12 weeks?
I know that I think it can be 12 weeks, 12 to 15 weeks, because Jenny has looked into it, because there's certain local like groups around Fort Wayne that we've looked into, because eventually we're going to have to get one. And sometimes
it's going to be so difficult for me to not give that dog attention.
Well, when it's at home, it's not working.
Unless she needs something.
But there is time where they can be dogs.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. Whenever I was actually at Meijer the other day, and I saw a gentleman with his service dog, and I always want to just be like, you're doing really good.
Yeah.
Go little rock star.
I know.
But I know that they're like, hey, don't distract him. And I would never. I learned my lesson once, but I just like, I just love dogs.
Me too.
I love dogs.
I really love dogs. I wasn't really a dog person until I met Jenny, and when I got loose, until I got Lucy.
Yeah. I was always the guy that like is at a party and I'm like, you have a pet? That's
Can I go see the dog? Yeah, or the cat or the squirrel or whatever the hell it is?
I don't care. It could be a 2-inch gecko, and I'm like, hey buddy. Yeah. Well, that's my only friend. You're my drinking partner for the rest of the night. Like, where's Jaron? I was in the bedroom laying on the bed with the cat. Why? Because he's so much cooler than you guys.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank you so much for educating all of us on this week. I think this was a really great topic. When you were bringing this when you were bringing this up, I was like, sure. All right, let's do it. And then now,
who knows?
Now that we're doing it, I'm like, oh, that was great.
Good.
So thank you so much for hanging out with us this week. That you guys, we love you so very much.
We love you so much.
And you'll see us next Monday with another wonderful episode of God, who knows what. And this is us signing out.
Bye.